It was a calm evening on Earth, one of those nights when life seemed almost too ordinary. People were busy with their routines, some scrolling through social media, others watching TV shows or enjoying dinner with their families. The stars twinkled faintly in the night sky and everything appeared normal, but deep down, something extraordinary was about to unfold, an event that would shake humanity to its core. At first, no one noticed anything unusual. It started as a faint shimmer near the horizon, like heat waves rising from asphalt on a summer day. Then came soft whispers among neighbors who stepped outside to see what was happening. "Is that lightning?" someone asked, pointing toward the heavens. Others shook their heads, unsure. Whatever it wasn't natural. Slowly, but surely the shimmer grew brighter, spreading across the sky like spilled paint. Within minutes, entire cities fell silent as people abandoned their activities to gaze upward. What they saw left them speechless. Massive shapes began emerging from behind what looked like cracks in the very fabric of the sky. These weren't clouds or planes. They were enormous ships, each larger than any skyscraper humans had ever built. The designs of these ships were unlike anything anyone had imagined. They were sleek yet intimidating, with sharp angles and glowing panels that pulsed rhythmically, almost like heartbeats. Some ships hovered motionless, while others moved gracefully, casting eerie shadows over the planet below. For a moment, it felt as though time itself had stopped. Everyone, from children clutching their parents' hands to scientists rushing to telescopes, was united by sheer wonder and terror. But then came the strangest part. Instead of announcing their arrival with triumphant declarations or launching attacks, the beings aboard these ships seemed scared. Their voices crackled through radios, televisions, and even cell phones, overlapping in chaotic bursts. "We didn't know," one voice repeated desperately. "You have these? How is this possible?" Confusion rippled across the globe. Who were you? And what did they mean by these? Humanity had done nothing to provoke such fear, or had they? In New York City, a young woman named Maya stood frozen on her apartment balcony, staring at the spectacle above. Her phone buzzed incessantly with messages from friends and family, but she ignored them all. Something about the scene filled her with both awe and dread. She couldn't explain why, but she felt certain that this wasn't just some random alien visit. There was more to the story, something hidden beneath the surface. Meanwhile, halfway around the world in a small village in India, an elderly man named Rajiv watched the same sight unfold. Unlike most people, he didn't panic. Instead, he muttered, under his breath, "So it has begun?" When his grandson asked him what he meant, Rajiv simply smiled cryptically and said, "Stories older than us are coming true tonight." Back in Washington, D.C., government officials scrambled to make sense of the situation. Emergency meetings were called, military bases put on high alert, and scientists ordered to analyze every detail of the phenomenon. Yet despite all their efforts, no one could answer the burning question: why were these aliens acting so afraid? As hours passed, theories spread like wildfire. Some believed the ships belonged to a secret human project kept hidden from the public. Others thought it was a divine intervention, proof of higher powers watching over Earth. A few conspiracy theorists even claimed it was a simulation designed to test humanity's reaction to extraterrestrial contact. Amidst the chaos, one undeniable truth emerged. Whatever was happening, it was connected to Earth's past. Clues lay buried not in books or museums, but deep within forgotten corners of history. Ancient myths spoke of celestial guardians protecting humanity from invaders. Legends told of great machines lying dormant beneath the ice, waiting for the right moment to awaken. And now, as the alien fleet lingered nervously in orbit, it became clear that those legends might hold more truth than anyone realized. Somewhere out there, hidden beneath layers of secrecy and time, answers awaited. Answers that would reveal not only why the aliens were terrified, but also how humanity fit into the grand tapestry of the universe. For now, though, the world held its breath, unsure whether this was the beginning of salvation or destruction. As the initial shock of the alien fleet's arrival began to settle, Humanity found itself grappling with more questions than answers. The ships in the sky remained eerily still, their glowing panels flickering like nervous heartbeats. Across the globe, people whispered about what these visitors wanted and why they seemed so afraid. But amidst the chaos and confusion, a deeper mystery started to unravel, one that reached far beyond modern history and into Earth's ancient past. In Daur, the icy wilderness of Antarctica, a team of researchers worked tirelessly inside a secure underground facility. This wasn't just any research site. It was home to a discovery that had been hidden from the public for decades. Decades ago, scientists drilling deep beneath the ice stumbled upon something extraordinary. Ruins of unimaginable technology, buried under layers of frozen earth. At first, they thought it might be remnants of an advanced human civilization lost to time. But as they dug deeper, they realized the truth was far stranger. The artifacts were alien, but not from the ships. Hovering above Earth now, these relics belonged to an entirely different race, one far older and more advanced than anything humanity could comprehend. Among the discoveries were diagrams etched into stone tablets, showing designs of colossal starships unlike anything seen before. There were also cryptic symbols and writings which experts struggled to decode. Over time, governments classified the findings, fearing the implications if word got out. Now, as the world faced its greatest existential crisis, those secrets were dragged back into the light. A high-ranking official within the United Nations leaked classified documents detailing the Antarctic discovery to a small group of trusted scientists and historians. The message was clear. Whatever was happening in the skies above Earth was connected to what lay beneath its surface. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a linguist renowned for her work deciphering ancient languages, was among those called to help. She had spent years studying obscure texts and inscriptions, often dismissed by colleagues as too obsessed with fringe theories. But tonight her expertise became invaluable. As she pored over the leaked documents and compared them to the alien transmissions crackling through every device on Earth, she noticed something startling. The symbols used by the aliens in their panicked messages matched patterns found in the Antarctic ruins. It wasn't a perfect match. There were subtle differences, but the similarities were undeniable. They're referencing the same thing, Elena whispered to herself, her hands trembling as she flipped through pages of notes. These aliens, they know about the ships. Her realization sent shockwaves through the team. If the aliens recognized the designs of Earth's mysterious starships, then it meant two things. First, the ships weren't merely dormant relics. They were active and functional. Second, whoever built them had left behind warnings powerful enough to strike fear into even interstellar travelers. But how? And why? Elena dove deeper into the archives, piecing together fragments of information like a puzzle. Slowly, a narrative began to emerge. Thousands of years ago, during a time when humans lived in scattered tribes and worshipped the sun and stars, another alien race visited Earth. Unlike the frightened beings in orbit today, this earlier group came with malicious intent. They saw humanity as weak and primitive, ripe for conquest. However, their plans took an unexpected turn when they encountered the starships. According to fragmented records, these vessels weren't created by humans, but placed here by an unknown benefactor, a hyper-advanced civilization that vanished long before recorded history. The ships served as guardians, programmed to defend Earth against external threats. When the invaders tried to attack, the starships activated, obliterating their fleet with terrifying efficiency. Fearing further retaliation, the surviving aliens fled, spreading tales of Earth's deadly defenses across the galaxy. Those stories became legends, passed down through generations until they faded into myth. And yet, the ships remained, buried deep beneath the planet's crust, waiting silently for the day they'd be needed again. For centuries, humanity forgot about them, or perhaps never knew they existed at all, until now. As Elena shared her findings with the rest of the team, a mix of hope and dread filled the room. On one hand, The presence of these guardians offered a glimmer of protection against the current alien threat. On the other hand, no one knew how much control humanity truly had over the ships, or whether they would turn against their creators if provoked. "What happens if we try to communicate with them?" asked Dr. Marcus Reed, a physicist specializing in extraterrestrial technology. "We don't have a choice," Elena replied firmly. "If we can establish contact, maybe we can figure out how to use them without triggering disaster." With that goal in mind, the team turned their attention to the ships themselves. Using data collected from radar and satellite imagery, they pinpointed several locations where the vessels appeared to be stationed in orbit. Each ship emitted faint signals, almost like calls for interaction. Elena hypothesized that these signals were invitations or tests. Whoever approached them would need to prove they understood the language and logic of the ship's creators. Drawing on her knowledge of ancient scripts, she crafted a series of responses based on the patterns she'd identified in the alien transmissions. The process was painstaking. Every attempt felt like walking blindfolded through a minefield. One wrong move could provoke the ships into attacking, not only the alien fleet but possibly Earth itself. Finally, after hours of trial and error, something incredible happened. One of the ships responded. At first it was just a flicker, a brief pulse of light followed by silence. Then came a series of tones, rhythmic and deliberate. It wasn't speech exactly, but it carried meaning. Elena listened intently, her heart pounding as she translated the sequence. "They're asking who we are," she said, her voice shaking with excitement, "and why we're contacting them." Working quickly, she constructed a reply, using phrases borrowed from both the alien transmissions and the ancient symbols. When the message was sent, the entire team held their breath. Seconds ticked by, like hours. Then the ship moved. It shifted slightly in orbit, angling itself toward Earth. Its glowing panels brightened, bathing the planet below in an ethereal light. For a moment, everyone feared the worst, that they had awoken a sleeping giant destined to destroy them all. But instead of hostility, the ship emitted another signal. This one was softer, almost welcoming. "They recognize us," Elena murmured, tears streaming down her face. "They see us as allies." The revelation sparked a wave of cautious optimism. Humanity wasn't alone in this fight anymore. With the starships on their side, they stood a chance against the terrified aliens lurking in orbit. Yet even as celebrations erupted around the globe, doubts lingered. What price would humanity pay for wielding such power? And what secrets still lay, buried beneath the stars, waiting to be uncovered? Only time would tell. The world was buzzing with a mix of fear, hope, and disbelief. News of the starship's awakening spread like wildfire, igniting debates in every corner of society. Governments scrambled to take control of the situation, while ordinary citizens banded together in ways no one could have predicted. For the first time in history, humanity felt united, not by shared joy or tragedy, but by a common purpose: survival. Dr. Elena Vasquez had become an unexpected leader in this unfolding drama. Her breakthrough in communicating with the starships gave her a unique position, one that thrust her into the global spotlight. She wasn't just a linguist anymore. She was humanity's ambassador to machines older than civilization itself. Every decision she made carried monumental weight, and the pressure was almost unbearable. But Elena wasn't alone. Around her, a diverse team of experts worked tirelessly to decipher the ship's behavior and intentions. Among them was Dr. Marcus Reed, whose expertise in physics helped map out how the ships operated. Then there was Priya Kapoor, a young programmer who specialized in artificial intelligence. Together they formed the backbone of Earth's fledgling alliance with the mysterious Guardians. As news outlets broadcast updates non-stop, people began taking matters into their own hands. Amateur astronomers set up makeshift observation posts on rooftops and in backyards, tracking the movements of both the starships and the alien fleet. Tech enthusiasts hacked into satellite feeds, pooling data online to create real-time maps of the situation. Conspiracy theorists posted wild theories, some ridiculous, others eerily close to the truth. Social media lit up with hashtags like Tarn Earth United and Guardians in Orbit, as communities rallied behind the idea that humanity could rise to the challenge. Yet not everyone was optimistic. Skeptics warned that relying on ancient technology they barely understood was a recipe for disaster. What if the ships turned against them? What if activating them triggered unforeseen consequences? Others argued that humanity shouldn't trust machines at all, that it was better to negotiate directly with the aliens. These concerns reached a boiling point when the United Nations convened an emergency summit. World leaders gathered virtually and in person, their faces grim as they debated what to do next. Some called for immediate military action, urging the use of the starships to obliterate the alien fleet before they could strike. Others advocated for diplomacy, suggesting that communication might resolve the standoff peacefully. Amidst the heated arguments, Elena stepped forward. Though she wasn't a politician or a soldier, her role as the key figure in decoding the starships gave her credibility. Standing before the assembled leaders, she spoke calmly but firmly. "We can't afford to act recklessly," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "These ships are powerful, yes, but they're also intelligent. They've recognized us as allies, not masters. If we push too hard, we risk losing their trust and possibly our only defense." Her words struck a chord. After hours of deliberation, the UN agreed to adopt a cautious approach. Instead of launching attacks or issuing ultimatums, humanity would focus on establishing clearer communication with the starships. At the same time, efforts would continue to reach out to the aliens, hoping to defuse tensions before they escalated. Further, Elena returned to her team with renewed determination. The task ahead was daunting, but she knew they had no choice but to succeed. With Priya's help, she developed a new protocol for interacting with the ships. Using algorithms based on the symbols found in Antarctica and the alien transmissions, they created a series of queries designed to test the limits of the ship's autonomy. One question loomed largest. Could the starships be controlled by humans? Or were they fully independent entities acting according to pre-programmed directives? To find out, Elena sent a bold request. She asked the ships to perform a simple task: move closer to Earth's atmosphere without causing harm. It was a calculated risk. If the ships complied, it would prove they were willing to cooperate. If they refused, or worse, retaliated, it could mean disaster. For several agonizing minutes, nothing happened. The ships remained stationary, their glowing panels dimming slightly as though pondering the command. Just when Elena began to doubt her decision, one of the vessels shifted. Slowly, gracefully, it descended toward Earth, stopping at a safe distance above the surface. Cheers erupted in the control room. The experiment had worked. Not only could the ships understand human commands, but they were also capable of executing them safely. This revelation opened up endless possibilities. With careful guidance, humanity might harness the full potential of these ancient guardians. Encouraged by the success, Elena pushed further. Working with Marcus and Priya, she devised a plan to integrate Earth's existing technology with the ship's systems. Satellites, drones, and even ground-based radar stations were repurposed to establish a network linking humanity to its newfound protectors. Each connection strengthened the bond between man and machine, creating a symbiotic relationship unlike anything the world had ever seen. Meanwhile, attempts to communicate with the aliens continued. Using insights gained from studying their transmissions, Elena crafted a message of reassurance. "We mean you no harm," it read. "Leave our planet and we will let you go unharmed." The response came swiftly, but not in words. Instead, the alien fleet moved closer, forming a tight cluster around one of the larger ships. Their actions suggested hesitation rather than hostility. Perhaps they were trying to gauge whether humanity truly controlled the Guardians or if the ships acted independently. This uncertainty played to humanity's advantage. By demonstrating restraint and cooperation, Elena hoped to convince the aliens that aggression wasn't necessary. But patience was wearing thin. Reports poured in of damaged infrastructure caused by falling debris from earlier skirmishes. Entire towns lay in ruins and public outrage grew louder with each passing day. Faced with mounting pressure, Elena made a bold decision. She proposed a live demonstration, a show of strength meant to intimidate the aliens into retreating. With approval from global leaders, she instructed the starships to simulate a defensive maneuver near the alien fleet. The effect was immediate. As the ships surged forward, their glowing panels blazing with energy, the aliens reacted with visible panic. Several smaller vessels broke formation, fleeing deeper into space. Others hesitated, clearly torn between retreat and resistance. Though the display achieved its intended goal, it also raised ethical questions. Was humanity crossing a line by wielding such power? Could they justify using the starships as weapons even in self-defense? Back in the control room, Elena wrestled with these doubts. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Trusting the starships meant placing faith in forces beyond human comprehension. Yet abandoning them altogether left Earth vulnerable to threats far greater than the current standoff. As night fell over the planet, Elena stared at the monitors displaying the starship's positions. Despite everything, the fear, the uncertainty, the overwhelming responsibility, she felt a flicker of pride. For the first time in history, humanity wasn't cowering in the face of the unknown. They were stepping up, taking charge of their destiny. Whether that destiny led to salvation or destruction remained to be seen. But one thing was certain: Earth was no longer alone in the universe, and neither were its people. The fragile truce between humanity and the alien fleet began to unravel as tensions escalated. Despite Elena's efforts to negotiate, the aliens remained stubbornly defiant. Their transmissions grew more erratic, filled with desperate pleas and thinly veiled threats. "You cannot control them," one voice crackled through Earth's communication systems. "They will destroy us all." Elena and her team exchanged worried glances. Were the aliens truly afraid of the starships? Or were they trying to manipulate humanity into doubting their guardians? Either way, time was running out. Every moment spent in stalemate brought the situation closer to catastrophe. It became clear that the aliens weren't going to leave without a fight. Under the cover of darkness, both literal and metaphorical, they launched a series of probes toward the starships. These small, agile devices darted through space like insects, attempting to scan or sabotage the ancient vessels. To the aliens, it may have seemed like a harmless reconnaissance mission, but to the starships it was an act of aggression. The response was swift and merciless. As soon as the probes came within range, beams of blinding energy shot out from the starship's glowing panels. Each probe disintegrated instantly, reduced to nothing more than floating debris. The entire exchange lasted mere seconds, but its impact was profound. Across Earth, people watched in awe as flashes of light illuminated the night sky. For many, it was the first tangible proof of just how powerful the Guardians truly were. Yet the aliens refused to back down. Emboldened by desperation, their leaders issued a chilling ultimatum: hand over your weapons or face annihilation. Humanity bristled at the demand. The starships were not weapons to be handed over. They were protectors, awakened to defend Earth from invaders. Elena knew she had to respond carefully. Any misstep could ignite a full-scale war, one that neither side might survive. With input from her team, Elena crafted a reply. "This is our home," she broadcasted through the starship's systems. "Leave now or face the consequences." Her words carried weight, not because of any threat made by humans, but because of the silent presence of the starships looming behind them. Still, the aliens didn't retreat. Instead, they prepared for battle. What followed was a spectacle unlike anything humanity had ever witnessed. The alien fleet mobilized en masse, their ships forming intricate patterns as they advanced toward Earth's orbit. It was a dazzling display of coordination, each vessel moving with precision honed over centuries of warfare. But the starships were no ordinary opponents. They moved with a grace and efficiency that defied logic, almost as if they were alive. Their glowing panels shifted colors, pulsing rhythmically as though communicating silently among themselves. Then, without warning, they surged forward, intercepting, The alien formation. The battle erupted in bursts of light and soundless explosions. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, while smaller alien ships darted desperately to avoid destruction. Each strike from the starships was calculated, targeting only enemy vessels and leaving nearby satellites untouched. Despite being outnumbered, the Guardians dominated the battlefield, dismantling the alien fleet piece by piece. On Earth, millions watched the conflict unfold in real time. Amateur astronomers captured footage through telescopes, while news channels broadcast live feeds from space agencies around the world. Social media exploded with reactions. Some cheered the starship's victories, calling them Earth's saviors. Others expressed fear, wondering what kind of beings humanity had unleashed. Amidst the chaos, however, there was a growing sense of unease. While the starships protected Earth, fragments of destroyed alien ships began raining down on the planet. Burning chunks of metal streaked across the sky like fiery meteors, crashing into oceans, forests, and even populated areas. Entire towns were flattened, and thousands of lives were lost. In New York City, Maya huddled in her apartment as alarms blared outside. She had always believed the starships would save humanity, but now she wasn't so sure. Was this the price of salvation? How many more cities would burn before the fighting ended? Similar thoughts weighed heavily on Elena and her team. Though they had achieved tactical success, the collateral damage was devastating. In private meetings, voices rose in frustration. "We can't keep doing this," Priya exclaimed, slamming her fists on the table. "Every second we let this go on, more people die." Marcus nodded grimly. "She's right. We need to find another way. If we push too hard, we risk losing everything." Elena stared at the monitors, her mind racing. She understood the dilemma all too well. Pushing the starships to their limits might drive the aliens away, but at what cost? Humanity couldn't afford to win a Pyrrhic victory, a triumph that left Earth scarred beyond repair. An idea began to form in her mind. Turning to her team, she proposed a daring plan. "What if we don't aim to destroy them?" she asked. "What if we show them they can't win and give them a chance to escape?" Her suggestion sparked debate. Some argued that mercy was too risky, given the aliens' aggressive behavior. Others saw merit in offering an olive branch, hoping to end the conflict without further bloodshed. After much deliberation, Elena's plan was approved, with one condition: the starships would remain ready to retaliate if the aliens tried anything sneaky. Using data collected during the battle, Elena identified weak points in the alien fleet's formation. She instructed the starships to target specific areas, not to obliterate but to disable. Beams of focused energy sliced through critical systems, disabling engines and weapons without causing catastrophic explosions. One by one, alien ships fell silent, drifting helplessly in space. When the dust settled, the remaining alien vessels regrouped, their once proud fleet reduced to a fraction of its former strength. Through the starship's communication system, Elena delivered her final message. "You have seen what we are capable of. Leave now, and you may yet survive. Stay, and you will be destroyed." For a tense moment, it seemed the aliens might refuse. But then, slowly and reluctantly, they began retreating, and ship after ship turned tail and fled, their panicked transmissions fading into static. Within hours, the skies above Earth were clear once again. Cheers erupted in the control room and across the globe. Humanity had won. Against all odds, they had faced an interstellar threat and emerged victorious. Yet the celebration was tinged with sorrow. Images of devastated cities and grieving families reminded everyone of the cost of survival. As the adrenaline faded, Elena found herself reflecting on the events. The starships had proven invaluable allies, but their true nature remained a mystery. What drove them? Could humanity trust them completely? And most importantly, what other secrets lay hidden beneath the stars, waiting to reshape the future? For now, though, the immediate danger had passed. Earth was safe, for the moment. But as Elena gazed at the glowing panels of the nearest starship, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger story. The battle was over, The alien fleet had retreated into the depths of space, leaving Earth's skies clear once again. But as the dust settled, both literally and figuratively, a profound sense of unease lingered. Humanity had survived its first encounter with extraterrestrial life, but the cost had been high. Cities lay in ruins, lives were lost, and the scars of war stretched across continents. For every person celebrating survival, there was another mourning what they had lost. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood on the balcony of her lab staring at the horizon. The sun was rising, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. It should have been a moment of triumph, yet all she felt was exhaustion and responsibility. The starships still hovered above Earth, their glowing panels pulsing softly as though watching over the planet. They weren't just machines anymore, they were guardians, protectors, and perhaps even judges. And now, humanity owed them everything. Inside the control room, her team gathered to debrief. Priya Kapoor sat slumped in her chair, her eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights spent coding algorithms to interface with the ships. Marcus Reed paced back and forth, muttering calculations under his breath as he tried to make sense of how much energy the starships had expended during the battle. Others exchanged quiet words, their faces etched with relief, mixed with anxiety. "We did it," Priya finally said, breaking the silence. Her voice wavered between pride and disbelief. "We actually did it." "No," Elena corrected gently. "They did it. The starships fought for us, we just gave them directions." Her words hung heavily in the air. Everyone knew she was right. Without the ancient vessels, humanity would have been defenseless against the alien fleet. But that reliance came at a price, one that no one fully understood yet. "What happens now?" Marcus asked, stopping mid-pace. "Do we keep trying to communicate with them? Or do we leave them alone until the next threat shows up?" Elena sighed. These were questions she had been asking herself since the battle ended. On one hand, the starships seemed content to remain passive, watching silently from orbit. On the other hand, their intelligence was undeniable and unpredictable. Could humanity trust them indefinitely? Or would their presence eventually become a burden rather than a blessing? "We can't ignore them," Elena replied firmly. "If we've learned anything, it's that knowledge is power. Understanding. These ships isn't just about protecting ourselves. It's about ensuring we don't misuse them." Her answer sparked nods of agreement around the room. The team unanimously decided to continue studying the starships, not only to deepen their understanding but also to establish boundaries. If humanity was going to coexist with such powerful entities, they needed rules, guidelines that ensured mutual respect and cooperation. Over the following weeks, efforts shifted from crisis management to long-term planning. Teams of scientists, engineers, and ethicists worked together to create frameworks for interacting with the starships. Some focused on decoding their systems further, hoping to unlock new capabilities while avoiding unintended consequences. Others explored ways to integrate Earth's technology with the ship's advanced mechanisms, creating a hybrid system that allowed humans limited control without risking autonomy. Meanwhile, governments around the world grappled with political fallout. The revelation of the starship's existence and their role in repelling the alien invasion forced leaders to confront uncomfortable truths. Secrets buried for decades had come to light, eroding public trust in institutions. Protests erupted in major cities, demanding transparency and accountability. Conspiracy theories flourished, ranging from fears of an impending global dictatorship to wild claims that the starships were preparing to enslave humanity. In response, Elena became an advocate for openness. She appeared on international platforms, explaining the situation in simple terms and urging unity. "This isn't just about nations or governments," she told a packed auditorium during a televised address. "It's about all of us. The starships chose to protect Earth, not any single country or ideology. That means we have a shared responsibility to honor that choice." Her message resonated deeply. Slowly but surely, divisions began to heal. People realized that survival depended on working together, not tearing each other apart. Grassroots movements sprang up, promoting peace and collaboration. Artists painted murals depicting the starships alongside scenes of Earth's diverse cultures. Writers penned stories imagining futures where humans and machines lived side by side. Even skeptics softened their stance, acknowledging that the starships represented hope as much as uncertainty. Yet challenges remained. Rebuilding devastated regions required resources and coordination on a scale never seen before. Refugees displaced by falling debris struggled to find shelter and support. Environmental damage caused by the conflict threatened ecosystems worldwide. Every step forward felt like 2 steps back, testing humanity's resilience once again. Through it all, Elena remained steadfast. She traveled tirelessly, meeting with leaders, scientists, and ordinary citizens to foster dialogue and cooperation. Her work extended beyond technical research. She became a symbol of perseverance and optimism, reminding everyone that humanity had faced its darkest hour and emerged stronger. One evening, as she walked along a beach littered with fragments of alien wreckage, Elena found herself reflecting on the bigger picture. The starships weren't just tools or weapons, they were reminders of something greater. They embodied the idea that humanity wasn't alone in the universe, but neither were they helpless. Looking up at the night sky, she spotted one of the ships gliding gracefully among the stars. Its glow was faint, but steady, almost comforting. For a brief moment, she imagined what the builders of these vessels might have intended when they placed them here thousands of years ago. Did they foresee this day? Did they believe in humanity's potential? "Thank you," she whispered, knowing full well that the ship couldn't hear her. Or maybe it could. Either way, the sentiment felt important. Back in her lab, Elena returned to her notes, determined to uncover more secrets hidden within the starship's systems. Each discovery brought new insights and new questions. What else did the ships know? Where had their creators gone? And most importantly, what role would humanity play in the grand tapestry of the cosmos? For now, those answers remained elusive. But Elena took solace in the fact that humanity had taken its first steps toward understanding. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, filled with trials and triumphs alike. Yet she believed, with every fiber of her being, that humanity was ready to rise to the challenge. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting golden light across the ruined landscape, Elena smiled faintly. Earth's story was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun.